Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we are doing block 14 of our Mystery Star block in this video, and this one is called Air Castle. Very interesting technique to get our quarter square triangles. I'm kind of excited to show you. I've never done it this way that she has it in the pattern, but we're going to do it. So if you're new here, we're doing a Mystery Star block of the month. So every month we do a different insert that goes into a set of star legs. The star legs will stay the same every single month. So if you need instructions and sizes and that kind of thing for the star legs, you can go to the very first video in this playlist, and I go over how to make and create the star legs there, and then you can catch up and join us. So okay, Air Castle. So for this one you're going to need 4 fabrics, 4 colors. For your background you're going to need 2 3-inch squares, 1 3 1/4 inch square, and 4 1 1/2 inch squares. From the dark fabric you're going to need 1 3 1/4 inch square. From your medium fabric you're going to need 2 3-inch squares. And from your light fabric, you're going to need 2 3-inch squares and 1 2 1/2 inch square. So your light fabric, it's going to be hard to see, is going to be in the very center here, and also these triangles right there, those bigger, lighter triangles. So in case you're looking for your fabric placement. And also on the light fabric, when you cut your 2 3-inch squares, you need to cut them diagonally just once to create 4 triangles total. Hopefully that all makes sense. It's all in the pattern. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make 4 half square triangles. We're going to take our 2 medium 3-inch squares and our 2 background 3-inch squares and place them right sides together. I've drawn a line, but you can do it however you want to do it. We're going to stitch down each side of that drawn line to create 4 half square triangles. And yeah, the birds are in the background hollering. Sorry about that. It's kind of late in the afternoon, and I think they're wanting out. Oh. Just on each side of that line. All right, now we're going to cut these apart and trim them down. Okay, so we're going to cut these apart. I didn't bring a long ruler over here, but I'll just use this one. You're going to cut right on the line that you drew. And then I'm going to trim these down to 2.5 inches. But I'm going to press mine first because I do use a block ruler. So we're going to press to the dark side. That. And just be careful not to stretch them. I know I tell you guys that every single time, but you know, if somebody's new, maybe they don't know, or just learning how to do half square triangles, then there we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to trim mine up. Now you can trim these before you press them. You know, depending on whichever ruler you're using. And I have a 2.5 inch block ruler, so that is what I'm going to use to trim mine with. And it just kind of works out perfectly, and it looks like I'm going to have to trim all 4 sides of these. And it looks like I'm trimming a lot, but I did use a scant 1/4 inch when I was sewing these together. I have a different foot on my machine today than my regular 1/4 inch foot, and I actually had bought a 1/4 inch foot with the guide on it because I am bad about doing scant seams everywhere, and sometimes you shouldn't be doing scants. So all right, let me get these trimmed up and finished. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take your light 2.5 inch square, and we're going to take our 4 background 1.5 inch squares, and we're going to snowball each corner of this little square to make a square in a square. Now you can press the seam in these, you could draw a line on the back, use diagonal seam tape however you want. So you're going to do the two opposite corners first, trim those down and press them open, and then we'll do the other two corners. And I know it's kind of hard to see on camera because this fabric is so light, but I'll just go ahead, and it won't take very long, and I'll just run through this with you. So we're going to take the other square and put it on the opposite corner. So here's the first one, here's the second one. Alright, and then I'm going to press these open just to make sure that all my edges line up. And if they do, then you can go ahead and trim this back, leaving 1/4 inch seam allowance. Get rid of that bulk. And then open these up. And I'm just going to hit these with the iron since I've got it right here because they're kind of small. Okay, now we can do the other two corners. So right there and right there. So then we're going to go from there down to there. I think this is the smallest one I have ever snowballed in my life. It's like super tiny. Like itty bitty. I don't know, we might have done this on some of our other blocks for this this deal. Okay, see this one I've got a lot right there. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and restitch this. It's just too much to... This is why you check those before you trim them, because if you need to pull it out, you can just quickly redo it. And if you've already trimmed it, you may have to start all over. So, alright, let's try this again. And if you're worried about the holes in your fabric, use a little steam in your iron and those holes will close right up. So, alright. There we go. Perfect. Let me check this one. I didn't check this one yet. And that one's good. Perfect. Alright, so this whole square should still measure 2.5 by 2.5. We didn't change the size of it any. So let me iron this right quick. So if you need to trim it, which I'm going to have to trim mine, I get a little wonky there. Trim that down to 2.5 inches square, and there's your little snowball square. Okay, so here comes the fun technique for the 1/4 inch square, and she's got a diagram in the pattern, so very easy to follow. So on your 3 1/4 inch background square, you're going to draw a line corner to corner. All right, so you can see that. Don't pay mind to the dotted lines. All right, then the next thing you're going to do, and this is what I did. I've already got those lines drew there. For 1/4 inch away from that drawn line that's corner to corner is we're going to draw a stitching line. This is how come I have it dotted, so I know that's a stitching line. What we're going to do is stitch from here just up to that other drawn solid line, and we're going to do that 4 times all the way around. Now if you'll pay attention in the pattern, you need these all to go a certain direction, so it needs to go to the right of your drawn line each time if you just turn this around. So what I did is I just took a ruler, and on this bottom one here, on the drawn line, I placed my 1/4 inch line and then just drew a dotted line, turned it 1/2 turn, did the same thing, turned it 1/2 turn, same thing, 1/2 turn, same thing. All right, so then you'll have a square that ends up looking like this. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Those dotted lines is where we're going to sew, and we're not sewing through or over our solid lines, we're just sewing up to them. So once you get that on there, drawn on there, then you're going to place it right sides together with your dark 3 1/4 inch square and stitch. So like I said, you're just stitching, you've already drawn your stitch lines, you're just going to stitch right on them. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and end, simply because we are going to be cutting this apart, and I don't want anything to come apart after we cut it. So like I said, I have never seen it done this way. This was kind of new to me, a new technique, and it seems easier than the other way we've been doing them. Okay, right, so I've got them stitched, all 4. You can kind of see the back how it looks. Kind of looks crazy. But now we are going to cut on the solid lines that we originally drew, corner to corner. So, all right, so we're going to cut right on those drawn lines. Okay, so now you have 4 that look like this, and then we're going to press these open. So now you have a 1/2 of a quarter square triangle. How about that? Pretty nifty. I never seen anybody do these first. I've always seen them do them the other way. But because we are going to be putting a triangle on this bottom side, you know, that just makes sense. So, but I'd never done it that way, so pretty interesting. All right, I'm gonna get this one pressed. We're not gonna do any trimming just yet. Okay, so you should have 4 triangles that, I guess these are quarter square triangles. Anyway, so the light fabric that we cut diagonally once, that we have the 4 triangles, now that comes into play. So I'm just going to put these like this, and with the line where we cut, so when the square was together like this, we cut it diagonally and it came apart like this. This longer side is what is going to go on these triangles, just like that. So I'm going to lay them all out here. All right, so then we're just going to flip these over on top of there and stitch. Okay, so I brought them up here to my sewing machine. Now you're going to have a little bit of overhang, so just try to center it up as best as you can. So you can see I've got just a little bit of overhang. We are going to trim these down though, so, and then 1/4 of an inch. Oh, got a string caught in there. Oh, it folded it up. All right, let me sew another one and then I'll open it up and show you. I have to fix the corner of that one. It wadded it up in there somehow or another. So just line them up. Like I said, just center it best as you can. Now these are going to be very stretchy, so be very careful with them because all of this is on the bias. So just, there is our 1/4 half square triangle. Pretty cool. All right, let me sew these other 2 with you. And I hope I explained that well. She does have a diagram. If you just follow the picture in the pattern, you'll be fine. That's what I did. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm just going to chain piece these through. Make sure that the long edge of those triangles are what you're sewing together. And I think it, you know, it would be way off if you had it turned wrong. So, you know, you should be able to notice pretty quickly whether you are sewing the right sides together. Because there's just going to be just a wee bit of overhang, not much at all. All right, so you should have 4 little triangles like that. Okay, so I'm going to press these open. I'm going to press them to the light fabric because there's no bulk there. Just like that. And like I said, they're very stretchy, so just don't get carried away with them. And then we're going to trim these down to 2.5 inches square. Alright, so I'm going to pull my board up here. Now, I'm going to use my little block lock ruler, but you could use just about any ruler. You just need a diagonal line on it. And actually, I don't know if the block lock's going to work. It is not going to work. Let me grab another ruler. Okay, so I've got this is the next smallest ruler that I have. so, this chair. So we want to go 2.5 inches with these. So I'm going to line up my diagonal line on my diagonal seam from sewing the 2 triangles together and move it up till I got 2.5 and 2.5. And this one looks like I just need to trim the dog ears off of it. It's pretty close, so I will just straighten these edges up and trim off these extra little bits. So that is one. So let me do this one. So line your diagonal line up, and I've got 2.5. And this one is just a little bit wonky on one side, so I'm going to go ahead and trim the dog ears off. And then again, from this side, no matter which way you have it turned, just line your diagonal line up with your seam line. And that's it. Easy peasy. I would also mention that I did sew, when I sewed my light triangle on these, I did sew a scant quarter of an inch, and mine came out pretty much just right. So you might want to try a scant quarter of an inch. You can always trim it down, but you can't make it bigger. So to see. So now we just got to lay out our block. So we have our little square and a square. It's going to be our very center. And there is a diagram here. Our quarter square triangles, the light is going to go down into the bottom right. Your darker fabric should be on the left. And let's see here. Okay, same thing. So it's just going to kind of spin around. Okay, so my light fabric is just spinning around, just making like a friendship. If you've ever made a friendship star, like I said, just watch the diagram. Excuse me. And then our half square triangles are going to go in the corners with all of the color facing to the inside, and that is our block. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull you over here where you can see it closer. All right. So light fabric, light fabric, light fabric is just going to kind of spin in a circle. Okay. So now we're just going to sew it together. It's essentially a 9 patch right at this point. So I'm just going to roll that over. And I'm going to sew the first 2 blocks in every single row first together. That way they'll all be attached and I can keep track of what goes where, what direction. So those 2, those go here. And yeah, these are some little bitty pieces. Okay, and then these ones. All right, and then I'm going to open these up and add. Oops, that one goes down. Good thing I looked and checked. I always check them when I put them on there because, you know, they can get turned around without you noticing. Which that one did. Luckily I checked. Alright, and this one goes, that goes down and around. And this way they're all attached when I go to sew the rows together. I don't have anything backwards or mixed up. Okay, and this one goes up. Alright, so I'm just going to press these ones to the outside. The center I'll press to the inside. And we'll just make it work. There's just going to be a lot of bulk no matter what on all of these seams. So we'll flip that over there and just line everything up. right, and this side. Oh, what a cute little block. This turned out really good. I'm glad I went with the blues. I'm having to stretch this one just a little bit, but it was because I already see I did my seam allowance on there. I really need to put that other foot back on. It's why I bought that foot to begin with, because okay, I gotta do a little trimming. But yeah, there is our, let's get this pressed where you can see it better. All right, so I'm gonna give her a press. Now this should measure, excuse me, 6.5 inches unfinished. Okay. All right, and I'm just gonna give her a little starch. I've got one side here that I just need to just do a little trim on, and it looks like I'm pretty close otherwise, so let me just do that while we're here. Just make, if you do any trimming, just make sure you still have a 1/4 inch left from your blocks, from your corners of your little blocks. So there is, oh, it looks like it's folded in on itself. It's a little wet from the starch there. Oh, how neat. That is, it's almost 3D. That is really, really cool. Love it. Okay. So let's add our star legs. I've got them right here. So, yep, it's going to be pretty close. So mine's going to, I need to measure. I should have measured it probably, but it looks like it's going to fit on these. And I did measure those. So yeah, there's our star. So I'm going to put these sides on first. All right, so we'll put the sides on here first, and then add our other rows, and it'll be done. Sounds like I need to change my needle. It's hitting those seams kind of rough. All right, that one goes on. That is, it's so 3D looking. It's really cool. That would be a neat block to do, like a bigger block, like a 12-inch block, and then do a whole quilt. All right. Now we're going to add our rows, other star leg rows here, and just measure, not measure, but line these up. Sorry. Had to measure on the brain. Line up these bottom ones. Everything's good. All right, turn that around and do this other side. I guess I got my little center stretched a little bit. I see a few little wrinkles on it, but I think I can steam that probably out. I was pretty careful with them, I thought. Okay. And then that goes there. How cute. Let's get it pressed up. Okay, so you guys know I'm going from the back first. Just kind of get these where I want them. Get them started anyway in the direction I want. And then we're going to give it a press. All right. Yeah, I think that center, I'll have to steam that. I must have stretched that little square somehow just a wee bit, and now it's got some little wrinkles in it. That's okay. I can get it fixed. All right, there it is. How cute. I love the 3D effect. You guys know I love the modern 3D quilts. I just love that. All right, so we got block 14 done. super cute. Very cute. Okay, so that's block 14, the air castle, I think it was called. I did not bring the directions over here, but anyway, that's done. So yeah, I will see you guys next month for block 15 and 16. We're almost finished. Remember, there's 20 blocks in this quilt, but we also have some extra additional blocks, so if you wanted to make another row and add to make your quilt bigger, or maybe a bed runner or table runner or whatever, we'll have some extra sampler blocks for you. So all right, have a great day, guys. Thanks for joining me.